Hey y'all, it's Catherine Gladder of the Gladder to Hear That podcast. Today I want to talk about how I try to be and think of myself as an emotional Christian objectivist. Yes, I believe it's possible to be both. I believe in looking for truth while acknowledging that I can have a personal emotion about that truth. I can understand a fact, not deny it, and still find it hard, and even maybe heartbreaking to believe. But that doesn't make a fact untrue. I can say that I'm a Christian based not only on the facts I know to be true, but also based on what God has done in my life. And acknowledge that those of other beliefs may feel the same way, because I know that I am free to believe what I like while sharing with others who are willing to listen about mine. I want to look at the world objectively, seeing the truth in everything, while still giving myself the freedom to have emotions regarding something. That said, emotions can't and won't affect the truth. Even if you don't like the truth, it doesn't make it untrue. Objectivism isn't perfect, I'll add. It doesn't leave much room for faith and religion, because objectivism tends to say that if you can't see it, touch it, etc., it's not real or true. That said, I'd like to vouch for the little room that is there. That if you look at the historical accounts of Christ, the Bible and Christianity as a whole, God has provided a lot to us. There's another side to / angle on this concept. You've probably heard the phrase, quote, "facts don't care about your feelings," unquote. While I want to acknowledge that is true, that my addition is that, quote, "I need to," unquote. That is, I need to care about others' feelings. This is hard balance, though, especially when others don't hold the same belief. So the full phrase is, "facts don't care about your feelings, but I need to." This means that I want to care about the feelings of others, but by doing so, I also want to present the facts of a situation for a more holistic viewpoint on any issue, because emotions matter, but they aren't an argument. How you feel about something doesn't affect the truth of something. But as a fellow human, I want to be understanding of feelings, why people have the feelings they do, and how it does affect their worldview. Because whether or not anyone's emotions are logical, those emotions still affect how they see the world, for better or for worse, admittedly. I think as a Christian, my goal needs to be to see if there is any value or good intention in what a person is feeling, how they came to their conclusions, and what may have changed their minds in the past. Objectivism goes into other areas of life too. Another one that I may have hinted at before is politics, admittedly. Now, the facts don't care, but I need to concept obviously largely works here. But as far as objectivism goes, I want to see the world in the most truthful light I can. If something isn't free, it's not free. There's no way around that. College isn't free to produce. You have to pay people. Colleges have to pay for buildings. You have to pay professors, pay for materials, curriculum, whatnot. Money can't just continue to be printed and hold value. There are way too many examples to list here. I can talk more about controversial ones one-on-one with others personally. But as a whole, I want to see the truth and not be confused to think that just because something seems nice means it's a good idea. That said, I see that people could see some of the examples listed earlier as a nice thing to do. But again, it doesn't mean it works or it's actually a good idea. So you might be wondering how I can be all three of these: emotional, Christian, and objectivist. The simplest answer is that I can get emotional about the truth. Now for the long answer, I highly value the truth. I want to know the truth of things, even when it's hard. That doesn't make it fun, and I think that's normal. Sometimes the truth is wonderful, and praise the Lord for that. But often times the truth is hard to hear. It's important to hear most of the time, though, but I think it can be valid to have an emotional response, with the big asterisk of knowing that even though you experience an emotional response, and hear me loud and clear here, it doesn't change the truth of the matter. Emotions are valuable. They are, but they don't determine the truth. That said, they unfortunately sometimes determine opinions, and those opinions aren't often rooted in truth, if that's the only thing building an opinion. As for Christianity, during a time of doubts in high school, when I was wondering why my Christian faith was the quote-unquote correct faith, I was challenged by my youth pastor to try to prove Christianity wrong. I found this interesting because I had been doing research on some other faiths to find the objective truth behind why so many people believe them. But I found myself lost in similar arguments that Christianity sometimes provides, such as holy texts, prophets, as well as other things like familial obligation. When I looked from a perspective of proving my faith wrong, I found myself challenging what I personally believed and taking an objective look at what I had learned in my life. I came back to the quote-unquote liar, lunatic, or Lord argument a lot. That argues that a man named Jesus, who we have proof of living in extra-biblical texts, that means texts outside of the 66 books of the Bible, had to be one of these three things according to what he said in the Bible, admittedly. And I found that to be one of the most helpful arguments at that time, and still one of my go-to conversational explanations. Now I realize there are a lot of different arguments, and this doesn't fully explain this one either. But this was one of the first I heard as a kid, and one of the first that guided my objective perspective on the topic to my memory. There's more to that discussion, but it was a starting point, and that was really helpful. I value truth a lot, as I've mentioned. I also know emotions are valuable in many cases. But as I've said, they don't determine truths. If you're not searching for truth, what do you have to hold on to? Where are you getting your basis for your worldview? I obviously don't know everything, but I'm always searching for better arguments for what I believe, and looking to learn more about what I believe. Something I want to clarify. Arguments. Many people hear this word and always think of negative elements, like bickering and kind of yelling at people. I want to clarify that an argument is an idea that backs up a claim which is determined side of an issue. You need both an issue and a claim to have an argument. I can sometimes be argumentative, and for a while I was led to believe that this was mostly bad. This isn't true at all. I'll admit, sometimes it is true, and I'm argumentative in a bad way, but it's not always the case. One could argue you are making a claim if you aren't stating an explanation, question, command, phrase, or pronouncement. And if you're making a claim, you should therefore have an argument to back it up, i.e., like reasons for your claim. Arguments. Arguments are an important part of life and learning. In fact, growing up and learning is about learning to get rid of old arguments. Arguing is about holding your own, and although it can get out of hand in many instances, and that's what we kind of turn into the bad side of arguing, it's important to develop your claims to issues and your arguments for those claims. So I challenge you to practice being objective about what you believe, while also being open to an emotional response to things. Thanks so much for listening, and make sure to follow or subscribe. I can be found on social media at Catherine Glatter, and my website, catherineglatter.com. That's with one D in Glatter, not two. So many people mess that up. Thanks, y'all. Bye.